Hello everybody, what is up? LRS71 here, coming at you with my first take on Lair of Darkness, which is called the Fang of Diablos. At least I think it's a cool name. But anyway, this deck is my first build out of all of them, and I decided to upload it a little bit back to back with the structure deck opening because I felt like I'm a little bit of late and I didn't want to wait until like next week to upload it to you guys for this wonderful structure deck. So I felt to myself like I want to upload it immediately, and I felt like 4 to 5 hours maybe absent is kind of could be nice, and just give you guys this structure deck build as soon as possible. As well, just in general, this is the Fang of Critias version, but what's really cool about this is that you can change the Fang of Critias to generic cards and then change the traps to more competitive traps, if you prefer, to this deck, and there you go. It's pretty much the same build, but just I locked myself to the Fang of Critias because I really like the Fang of Critias. So you can use that, and that's really cool. And without further ado, let's get started with this deck profile. And I'm also going to say to you guys that I'm going to go really fast through the Lair of Darkness monsters because I already talked about them in the deck opening, which I did, the structure deck opening. And of course, if you want to go and check that out, that will be muchly appreciated. So to start things off, you want to run 3 copies of Lilith, Lady of Lament, because it's your trap searcher. 3 copies of Diablos, Lord of the Lair, because it's pretty much an astrograph, and it's also kind of like a really good monster overall. It's a really good boss monster. 3 copies of Arima, the Wicked Warden, which is your Lair of Darkness Searcher, which is your field spell. And then 1 copy of Dukeshade, the Sinister Shadow Lord, because this guy is your kind of a kaiju. And that's their basic effects, I would say. They also have other effects, but of course, like I said, you're more than welcome to read and kind of like discover it for yourselves. But I'm pretty sure you also guys know how that goes because everybody just talk about this deck really lately. So 2 copies of Armageddon Knight to continue off the lineup of monsters because it's sending dark monsters to the graveyard, and which one is the best one to send except from Diablos is the Strudo, because it give you squishyplays. Then 1 copy of Tour Guide from the Underworld because it's open up rank 3 and link 2 plays, which you can use Scarm, but because I do not own a Scarm and what I call Steam the Cloak, I'm running 2 replacement monsters, which kind of like work really well in my opinion. And those are 1 copy of Fiendish Rhino Warrior, which can send any Fiend monster when it's sent to the graveyard, and then 1 copy of Absolute King Backjack, which can put the top 3 cards of my deck in any order that I prefer, and then when I can banish it during my opponent's turn from the graveyard and give to myself a trap if it's on the top of my deck, and then set it immediately, and it can also be activated immediately even during my opponent's turn. So that's really nice, and I really like Absolute King Backjack a lot. And this engine is nice overall. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's pretty nice. That's it for that. Now we'll move on for the spells. So for the spells, you want to run, of course, 3 copies of Lair of Darkness. I love this field spell a lot, but it's kind of like a cloggy field spell, so I'm not 100% sure if I want to run 3 of it. I'm 100% sure you do not want to run 3 terraforming or something like that, because you already have the Wicked Warden to search it. As well, just in general, like I said, open up way too much of this field spell, even though it's important. It's kind of not, I would call it dumb, but kind of like break your hands and you cannot play. So I prefer to run 3 copies of it without any terraforming, because I generally playing like 6 copies of it with the searcher of the deck. So that's pretty much it for that, and now we're running 3 copies of Fang of Critias because it's the main fusion spell of the deck. So why not maximize on that? If you prefer to run 2, you're more than welcome, but I like Fang of Critias a lot, so that's why I'm running 3. Next up, you also want to run 3 copies of Allure of Darkness, because all of your monsters in the deck are dark except from Fiendish Rhino Warrior. But like I said, if you're running a Scarm and Steam the Cloak instead of the monsters that I run, you have the entire lineup of dark, so you don't need to worry about that. And that's for the free offs. Now we'll move on for the one-offs. I'm running one copy of Reinforcement of the Army to search your Armageddon Knight immediately to your opening hand if you need it. One copy of Foolish Burial because it's Foolish Burial. One copy of Monster Reborn because it's Monster Reborn. And then the last card that I'm running is actually kind of could be a shocker to you guys. But you can run whatever you want again instead. But I really like it because it generates to me one token which can really be useful, especially if Lair of Darkness is already on. And I need to use, or I want to use Lilith Effect or the Wicked Warden Effect. And it's just really nice and not restrict me or give my opponent any cards or things to advantage. So that's really nice. And the card that I'm talking about is one copy of One-Time Passcode. Now, I'm not saying that I'm going to leave this card in the deck in the future, but for now, it's the best card I can think of. If Gofu was at 1, I would run Gofu instead, because Gofu is really good. But unfortunately, Gofu is banned. Really a shame, but that's how it works. And because of that, one copy of One-Time Passcode is not the worst option in the world, because you do want to have tokens. But I'm not 100% sure if I like this one, but this is the best one I can think of with the things that I do have. So that pretty much does it for the spells. Now we'll move on for the traps. So 3 copies of Crash Card Virus because Fang of Critias. 1 copy of Epidemic because it's the best virus of the deck. 2 copies of Mirror Force and 2 copies of Storming Mirror Force. Even though, I would say, like right now, even though you want to see Mirror Force more than Storming, sometimes your deck don't have the capabilities to take monsters with protection, which that's why you want a Storming Mirror Force, which will bounce all the monsters back to the hand. Now, sometimes it's bad because, you know, if it's a main deck, that's kind of like not stopping them for more than one turn and sometimes even giving them advantage. But if it's an extra deck, like, you know, using the extra deck a lot, that's actually could be really cool because you can just bounce the entire extra deck back to the extra deck, the monster from the extra to the extra deck, and then they cannot like go back to the recoveries they had before they played that turn. So that's really nice and can punish a lot of reckless players. Then 1 copy of Ring of Destruction for the Ring of Destruction Dragon, which is Destruction Dragon, I believe. And then 2 copies of Back to the Front to run off the traps, because it's kind of a really better Call of the Hunted. So that's really, really nice, and it's also searchable. So that does it for the traps. Now we'll move on to the extra deck. So first off, 1 copy of Mirror Force Dragon, 1 copy of Destruction Dragon, and then 2 copies of the best monster in the extra deck in my opinion, which is Doom Virus Dragon. So this is the lineup that you want to run in Fang of Critias build, in my opinion. You don't want Tyrant Dragon and you don't want to run the Tyrant Wing because it's useless in this deck particularly. So this is the lineup that you want to run, and those are the best ones that you can run. Like this one is probably the best one. This one, I'm not really sure which one is better out of those 2. I would say Mirror Force Dragon, but I still think like his defense protection, my apologies, it's not the best in the world. But it's still a nice pit stick. And that pretty much does it for them. Now for the synchros, 1 Ancient Fairy Dragon because, you know, Ancient Fairy Dragon. And 1 copy of Black Rose for board wipes. So those are your level 7 synchros, and those are the only ones that you need. And then I'm also running 1 rank 8. It almost never happens, but sometimes you want to have it. And then 1 copy of Heliopolis, because this guy is really nice to get rid of problematic cards overall, and it's also have the ability to tribute for you cards, which is really nice because it's triggering Diablos effect. And because of that, I like this card a lot, but like I said, again, I almost never run into it because I almost don't have any time that I have 2 level 8 monsters on the field, which is kind of interesting, but it almost never happens. Then 1 copy of Utopia Lightning and 1 copy of regular Utopia. This, again, the only rank 4 I'm running because I do not have the capabilities to go to rank 4 so much. Even though I have the Doom Virus Dragon, which is a level 4, I almost never go into rank 4 compared to go into rank 3, because I can go to rank 3 really easy with Tour Guide from the Underworld, and that's why I prefer that mostly. And the 2 cards from rank 3 I'm running is 1 copy of Breaksword to pop a card to my opponent, pop a card for me, and just deal with the problem with that. And then 1 copy of Darius King, the DDD Stone King Darius, because it can be a nice catastrophe to get rid of problematic monsters that your opponent have that you cannot get rid of normally. And then I'm also running 1 copy of Borlow Dragon for starting off the links, Archfang, Master King Archfiend, and then also 1 Akashic Magician and 1 Click Spider. I would not say this is the most optimal lineup for the Link monsters, but I think this is the one that works for me. I still need to work a test on this, but like I said millions of times, I almost never go into extra deck except from the Fang of Critias fusions. So that's pretty much it, and you don't really need more than that, and you can even add Cherries targets if you prefer, and run just Cherries in your side deck. So yeah. So that pretty much does it for the deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Remember, creativity is the key in this game. Have a good day, guys. Stay safe and be on the lookout for the end of the week. We're going to have the continuation of the squishyplays. So have a good day, guys, and see you guys next week. Bye-bye.